Coming out on a Friday night, more news from the NFL as Robert Saleh returning to the 49ers as defensive coordinator. The team announced Saleh interviewed for 3 head coaching jobs, but after not landing any of them, headed back to San Francisco. Saleh spent 4 years as defensive coordinator for the 49ers before becoming the Jets head coach. Emery, you think about when Saleh was in San Francisco with the 49ers, 2017 through 2020. After 2 seasons, the 49ers ranked 9th worst in the league in yards allowed. Saleh comes along 2 years later, they're 2nd best in the league, also leading that team to an NFC championship game. What do you make of this move for San Francisco?
I love it. And at the end of the day, is getting him back to where he's best. We talk about guys living in their role and owning their side of the football, wherever side they coach. And him being a defensive coordinator is probably where he wants to be and where he probably is going to excel. Once again, we know San Francisco does a good job of identifying the type of guys they want on defense, and now having the guy that kind of orchestrated all of that under Kyle Shanahan, I'm sorry, is going to go back to where he had the most success and is going to go back to where he was loved in San Francisco with his guys out there on the field. I think it's going to bring the passion back to the 49ers defense because, quite honestly, since he has been gone, no one really feared San Francisco's defense like they did when he was there. So I like this move for San Francisco. Continuity is king, and getting the gang back together is going to be good things for the 49ers.
Emery, you talk about the passion that this team had playing under Robert Saleh, and I got to spend 5 years there. I was there for a good chunk of the time that Robert Saleh was there, and it was another energy that you kind of saw around those players, those guys wanting to play for Robert Saleh. But then you also think about this isn't the same 49ers team that we saw years back. I think some of the only mainstays you have are guys like Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. Now, albeit those are some big and key names for this defense, but it's going to look a lot different for Saleh this time around. What should the 49ers' next steps be as they look forward to hopefully getting back to that NFC championship game?
Well, I love how everyone that's going to be back there, I'm talking about the staff, they understand what needs to happen and what needs to transpire for them to regain that glory that they had defensively under Robert Saleh's tutelage. And that's why I love the fact that they are able to identify what works for them. We know they love length up front. We know they love guys that are aggressive in terms of playing downhill at linebacker. Those guys back secondary, they press guys and they can attack the ball. So I love everything, the right coach in place that understands what he wants from those guys. And to me, that's where they're going to have, they're going to hit the ground running once again. Bringing a guy that understands what he wants for his defense, what they want for the organization, what works well within their scheme. So this 49ers team in 2025 will look like the 49ers team that we used to seeing coming out the NFC West.
Emery, you know that's music to my ears hearing that, but we know Robert Saleh employs that wide nine scheme right there. So looking to bring that back, and also maybe some of that juice that the 49ers did have back when they were one of those top teams in the NFC. Thank you so much, Emery Hunt. But the coaching carousel maybe is finally coming to a stop. Just one lone hiring or availability open, and that's the Saints looking to replace Dennis Allen. The lone opening left in the NFL is all the spots now filled. We got breaking news out of the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys promoting from within, making Brian Schottenheimer their new head coach. He was the offensive coordinator the last 2 seasons. He joined Dallas in 2022 as a coaching analyst. Schottenheimer has 24 years of experience coaching in the NFL, but this will be his first head coaching job. The Cowboys went 7-10 this season and parted ways with Mike McCarthy after 5 seasons in Dallas. We're now joined by CBS Sports NFL analyst Emery Hunt on the heels of the breaking news. And Emery, you think about the Cowboys being kind of late to the coaching party. We know that they let go of Mike McCarthy fairly later than some of the other teams let go of their head coaches. So you get into this mix, and now you hire within your own organization. Emery, give me your initial reaction to this news.
This feels like a 1-year rental, Kiana. You know, let's get someone that's in-house. that knows the organization, that has had success offensively. Full disclosure with this football team. Last year they were healthy. They had a very good offense this year. Obviously without Dak, the offense didn't look the same, but they also did some good things later on in the year. So there is some positives about this hire, but this to me screams like, okay, we'll just roll with this guy for now until something new and shiny comes along that we have a little bit more money to go and grab. But I feel like this was something that is going to work out for both parties, because Brian Schottenheimer gets his first opportunity as a head coach, and the Cowboys really can keep things kind of status quo without Mike McCarthy being a part of it.
Okay, well, say this is a one-year situation for both parties. What's the next biggest order to do for the Cowboys, considering that you missed the playoffs this year, you let go of Mike McCarthy, you have Dak, you have these pieces, a lot of guys coming back from injury. What's the next order of business for them?
Well, you got to win double-digit games, and you got to get to the postseason. And you have Schottenheimer working with the offense, and we know they just hired Matt Eberflus to work with the defense. So that's going to give them some cachet on that side of the football. We saw how Eberflus was able to work with that Bears defense during his time as the head coach. That's where he cut his teeth with the Indianapolis Colts as their defense coordinator. So we know the Cowboys' issue was defense this year. Offensively, they get those guys back healthy like you talked about. It's going to help out that defense if Eberflus is able to push them up a little bit more, so get them to the middle of the pack to maybe borderline top 10. If that happens, this team has more than enough talent, and we know they tend to do a good job drafting talent to make a push for the postseason. So the postseason is still the end game for the Dallas Cowboys, and they want to win multiple games in the postseason. But keeping a Brian Schottenheimer and what he has done with these offenses, if you go back to what he did with Seattle, with Russell Wilson, there's some positives to build on going into next season, although everyone right now is making fun of the head coaching hire. But I think this could actually work out for Dallas.
All right, I think it's maybe that initial shock value considering some of those names that were available. Dallas opting to hire from within, but that's not the only news coming.
Heading to Las Vegas, replacing Antonio Pierce as head coach of the Raiders. 73 years old, Carroll coached Seattle for 14 seasons, winning a Super Bowl in 2013's season and coming a Malcolm Butler interception away from another one the following year. Carroll's been out of football for one season, that hiatus lasting just the 12 months, and he hopes to carry over the success that he achieved in Seattle when he led the Seahawks to the second best win percentage in the conference in his tenure. Carroll won more playoff games in a 10-year span than the Raiders have won since 1983. God, that hurts. Senior NFL insider Adam Schefter is with us on SportsCenter. Adam, what more can you tell us about how this deal came together?
Well, Randy, at a time where many teams are looking for the new toy, the Raiders decided to go with something that is old and reliable. They hired Pete Carroll on a 3-year contract agreement that will make him the oldest head coach in NFL history next season. He'll be 74. He acts like he's 34 and has the energy of a 34-year-old. And the Raiders surveyed the landscape and recognized in the AFC West there's a lot of good teams with a lot of good quarterbacks and a lot of good coaches. They know that they can't make up that ground overnight. They decided to opt for a simple, sure, proven way in Pete Carroll, who now goes from teaching at USC and goes to Las Vegas